How's it going, guys? This podcast is brought to you by Rise Workout. Rise helps busy people manage their health, stress, fitness, and lifestyle through strength training. We understand that life's responsibilities can be time-consuming and still very important, like building your business or progressing your career or being present in your relationships and with your family. And sometimes our health can take the back seat and be neglected. That's why Rise gives you the programs to ultimately self-manage your own health and fast-track your results, because we know that the quality of your health will be a direct reflection of the quality of your performance and those other life responsibilities. Rise offers one-on-one personal training as well as group workshops to small to medium teams. Check us out at www.rise-workout.com. Now back to the podcast.
That's a vibe. She wanna vibe.
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the High Frequency Club podcast. My name is Martin Scenario.
And I'm Shenae and we're here talking self-development, growth and mindset.
We're back in the cafe because our other office is going through renovations, and we don't want to hear the drills in the background. So
we'd rather the ambience of a cafe.
Yeah. But I like the backdrop still. Yeah. Anyway, I reckon let's just crack straight into it. We've got a Q&A segment today that we want to answer the questions for. So let's pick up the voice levels and let's go.
Yeah. Okay. So first question, bit of a big one that one of you guys have sent through. I'll give a bit of a context actually. I'll read out the message that we got. So this person, they said that they feel that they're quite athletic and fit. They work out regularly. They've been a competitive swimmer for quite a while, but have never really been one for running. And this person's challenged themselves to do Round the Bays, which is a local run in Auckland, has tried a few running sessions, and still didn't feel that she performed well despite all of this extra running. So sort of come to terms with maybe I'm just not a runner and won't ever get good at it. And then has recently tried doing, there was a new running program that started at Les Mills. So she gave that a go. Again, said she generally hated it, felt that she just couldn't keep up with the others, was quite a blow to her self-esteem. And so her dilemma is that part of her feels that she has given it a go, didn't like it, wasn't good at it, so should just give up. But part of her feels that she should keep challenging herself and push through. So the question surrounding all of that is there something to be said about knowing when to admit defeat and knowing when to quit? Or should we force ourselves to get better at something we hate? And do we only hate it because we're not good at it? So quite a bit to unpack there. I think initially when I discussed this question with the listener, I'd sort of said, I guess it comes down to what your measures of success are in regards to what you're defining as a successful runner. Like, is that just running, being able to run 1 kilometre or 5 kilometres or 10 kilometres? And then sort of regardless of that outcome, is it a hobby or an activity that you do want to do long term? Like, is it actually going to be sustainable for you? And then sort of weighing up those, that's where I would then probably make a call. I still do think that if something's going to become a regular habit or activity for you, it is got to be something that you enjoy doing. There's got to be some enjoyment there. Yeah,
it's a fine line, especially when you're trying to learn something new. You want to make sure that you're good enough that you enjoy the process of improvement. Because if you don't enjoy it, then you're always going to hate it. And if you hate it, then what's the point in doing it? So like, you've got to really, I'd use this with all my clients all the time. Like, some clients love strength training. They love, feeling strong and feeling powerful. And other clients just genuinely just want to come in and they want to gamify the process, where there's a lot of variety. And it's not so much about getting stronger and seeing the numbers, but just, for the first part anyway, just showing up and enjoying the process. So everyone's going to be different. So yeah, like you said, it's about figuring out why do you want to do it in the first place, and is it something that you want to consistently be curious and improving in? Otherwise, when do you accept defeat is when you realize it's not fun anymore, when you don't enjoy it. Yeah.
Especially if you've already got other activities or hobbies that you're doing regularly that, again, are, if your main goal is just being fit, keeping active, moving your body on the regular, if you're already doing other activities that are ticking those boxes and you're getting enjoyment from it, you know, if that's cycling or swimming or doing classes, then I think, yeah, is there a need to sort of push yourself doing something that you don't like?
Well, the fact is, like, she's already said, or do I have to force myself to get better at something I hate? Well, like, that's a pretty clear sign already that, like, you hate it. Therefore, you don't want to progress in it. So, and if it's in the context of, like, feeling fitter, find something else that you enjoy.
Yeah.
Like, why suffer on top of suffering? Because I guess exercise is already hard.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You're putting another layer of suffering on top of it if you hate it. You know? You should enjoy the process of the hardship.
Yeah. And then off the back of that, the follow-up was, well, how many chances and tries should you give a new or different activity before it's fair for you to decide, nah, this isn't for me?
Yeah, and this is just, again, a blanket answer. This is, you know, for me, this is just an overall blanket answer, but consistency is always key if you want to improve in anything. But like I said, you've got to enjoy the improvement and process of it. If you genuinely feel like you don't want to do it, then don't do it.
Yeah.
I think. How many chances and tries? I don't know. There's no secret number.
I do think, yeah, it's quite individual, because I generally say to someone, if someone is new to one of my classes, whether it be pump or RPM, I always tell them, I say, hey, give it 3 goes before you sort of decide whether it's for you or not. 3 goes to, 1, get a feel for the workout, have a bit more of an idea of what you're in for, because the first time it's a bit of a blur. You're just sort of like, oh my God, especially for cycle, it's like up, down, 45 minutes, boom. So I always say, yeah, give it a few goes before you decide whether it's for you or not. But in saying that, there might be some people that after the first go, they're like, no, I hate this isn't for me. So that was me for body step. I've tried body step maybe half a dozen times, and each time I've been like, nah, this is not me.
Yeah.
So
I just think if you're trying to get into a new habit, that you've got to have minimal friction possible to start off with. So if the negatives outweigh the positives, you're fighting an uphill battle, you know? Yeah, for me, you got to weigh it all up. You got to weigh pros and cons up. And let's say after 3 tries, you've still got heaps of negatives that outweigh, then it's probably best to move on.
yeah, hard.
Cool. Next question. Tips for building muscle.
I would say protein and resistance training with consistency in both of those. So consistently eating enough and getting enough protein in your diet, and then consistently training.
Yeah, I think people also underestimate just staying on because a lot of people would say, I want to build muscle, go on a surplus. You can still build muscle on maintenance calories.
Yeah.
You know, so like I think start off with maintenance calories and hitting, you know, to failure and frequency on your training programs. Be consistent for 4 weeks, re-measure yourself, and then you'll have enough data to either then go up in terms of go up in calories, but maybe 100 to 200. Otherwise, just stay on the maintenance. You know, you got to find what works for you. But in short, very general. Maintenance calories, frequency of training, hit the same exercises, you know, 2 times per week. So you're training around 5 times per week of resistance training. Do that consistently for 4 weeks, re-measure, gather the data, and then go from there. Either add more calories or stay on maintenance.
Yep. Yeah, definitely don't need to overcomplicate that at all.
No, not at all. Not at all.
What's your favourite Domino's pizza? Vegarama, hard, plus pineapple.
Domino's is so good. For me, honestly, I love the classic pineapple. Hawaiian.
Hawaiian, yeah. Hawaiian was my go-to before I went veggie. So.
What crust do you get?
Classic, is it? Yeah, classic.
It depends on the pizza for me. Okay. It depends on the pizza. Like Hawaiian's bloody good as a classic. Vegarama, I feel, is good as crispy. It's like a toast.
Okay.
you know?
No,
and,
classic all the way.
and sometimes it also depends on how hungry I am.
Okay.
Like, if I'm real hungry, then classic is good to go. If I'm just looking to feel a little bit light, then thin and crispy.
Okay. And their G bread, you can't beat their G bread.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Ooh, would you get with someone if you knew they had a partner?
No, because even though I know that's obviously a problem with their relationship or that particular individual that's making them want to cheat on their partner, I would still never want to be the other girl. And then even I understand that, yes, maybe if it wasn't me, they would then still go and cheat on their partner with somebody else. I'm still just wouldn't want to be involved in that situation. So that would be a no from me.
Okay, if I knew who their partner was, if they were like a mate or I had some sort of relationship with them, absolutely not. You know, I highly, highly value loyalty, you know, and respect. But let's say the context is I'm talking to someone and we're vibing and they have a partner, but you know, they're coming to this dance, they're coming to the space, vibing with me, then, and you know, we bring up the fact that, hey, you've got a partner, do you want to carry on with this? And they're like, yep, all good, I want to carry on. Then I'm going to be like, your relationship with your partner is none of my responsibility. My responsibility is that I uphold myself, we make sure that there's no assumptions here, that everything is clear, and if you're all go, I'm all go. I'm not responsible for your partner.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I know you're not, you're definitely not responsible for that and the drama that would entail with their relationship, but I still just wouldn't.
Because how do I know, like, they're unhappy in their relationship, you know? How do I know? I don't know. I don't need to know. All I need to know is what's happening in the space, and I need to be able to, I guess, protect myself in saying, this is how I feel, how do you feel about this? I'm gonna make no assumptions. And if she says, I've got a partner, then I'm gonna take that as like, okay, sweet, no. You know, it's a no.
Yeah.
But if they're saying, I've got a partner, or, you know, I'm still in this space and I'm keen to carry on the way that we are, maybe not necessarily, you know?
I still think if again, it still comes down to that person. I still feel if someone said, oh, I've got a partner, like that's probably their way of trying to hint that, like,
say no, right?
This shouldn't go any further.
Yeah.
But it might be, again, that they're getting caught in the moment of being like, oh, but they're kind of keen, but they're also deep down they're like, no, I shouldn't. So I think usually when someone says that, it's probably their way of trying to say no without saying no.
Yeah,
which again
for sure.
is still
for sure. And if they do say that, it is a more probable no.
Yeah.
Right. But let's say it's gone past that, where you're like, I don't know.
Yeah, if they're
holding hands now. You're holding hands now, or you know, things are getting a little bit close, and you feel that intimate energy is there, and you've both said that, like, yeah, I am keen, even though she has a partner. You know.
Still a no for me. But anyway, we can agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah, but I just want to make clear that you don't carry on after they've said I've got a partner. You know, that definitely does mean no. Yeah. But I'm saying that if you make it a fact and both on the same page, that I still want to carry this on further, even though we are both on the same page that I have a partner.
Yeah.
Pretty much saying, yes, I'm willing to cheat on my partner.
Yeah.
Then that is not my responsibility, whether you cheat on your partner or not. Or whether you cheat on your partner, you know? All I'm responsible for is that I'm enjoying our company, you're enjoying my company, we both know that we're gonna move forward with this. You know? Yeah.
Well, that leads into the next question, which is, what are your non-negotiables in a relationship?
Loyalty for me. Loyalty. No cheating.
That's it. That's pretty much what I had as this is number one, is honesty and trust, for sure. I think if you don't have trust, you don't got nothing. And I think this applies in like all relationships, whether that be romantic relationship or friendships or whatever. Communication, and definitely openness and transparency with that as well. Empathy, for sure, and compassion. Similar values. I don't think you have to necessarily have like, oh no, you have to have pretty similar values in regards to what you, like whether that be health and personal development and adventure and all that kind of thing. Decent sense of humour, at least close to mine. I don't expect people to be as funny as me, but and commitment to the relationship and working on it. I think not just expecting that, like, cool, we're in a relationship, that's it. It's got to, takes two to tango. Same with friendships as well. Like, I've had some friends where they're just sort of like, oh, well, she didn't message me, so like didn't end up catching up. And I'm like, well, what stopped you from messaging her for a catch up? Like, it can't always be one way. So, and food, you got to value food. That's it.
Yeah, for me, like, what are some non-negotiables? Definitely someone who at least has a high degree of valuing themselves, and that might, it's important for that to manifest in health. You've got to take care of yourself health-wise. And the other one is communication. Like, I can't build something with anyone if they're not able to communicate how they're feeling, where they want to go with it, because it's a team, right? It's not a one-man team. It takes two to tango, and if they cannot communicate it, there's just a lot of friction between where we're at and where we're trying to go. So I'd say those two things, just very simply for me.
Yeah. Next.
Favorite podcast. What's your favorite podcast?
Well, I'll just touch on what I've listening to recently. I've been listening to The Altitude Leader, which is Paul, the guy from the personal development seminar we went to a couple of weeks ago. So he's got a podcast, I've been listening to that, amazing. The Happy Pair, if you don't follow The Happy Pair on Instagram, what are you doing? And their podcasts are great as well.
What are they about?
They just are so positive, such positive, cool people, and they just interview, again, range of different people that sort of share their story with their sort of health journey. Huberman Lab, which is a pretty heavy sciencey one, all generally about the brain, but quite pretty heavy. Like, I have to be in the zone to listen to those ones. And then if I do want something that's pretty chill, easy listening, Milani, which is Marlon Woods and Alani from Oz. And then my go-to that I've followed from the get-go, Rich Roll, Feel Better, Live More, and Plant Proof for my OGs.
Yeah, I shuffle between three. One that I've really heavy, I follow him so hard, is the Ice Project, which is an ex-NRL player called Isaac John from Toroa, which is like 45 minutes away from Taupo. And after footy, he ended up creating a clothing business, and now he's just started up businesses, and he pretty much echoes what Gary Vaynerchuk says, except this time, because he looks like me, talks like me, pretty much from the same place as me, I relate to him so much more. When Gary V's like all the way in America, he's a multi-millionaire investor and stuff like that. Gary seems very far away, because I used to smash Gary too. But just listening to the Ice Project, he's got a whole range of people in business, self-development, as well as just good chat, just good relatable chat. The other one is Feel Better, Live More by Dr. Rangan Chatterjee. Yeah, he's real good. I love the guests that he have on, because he's got like the best of the best, and there's one episode in particular with Esther Perel about relationships that's a game changer in that. And the third one is Joe Rogan. I love listening, especially about when he's got MMA fighters on. Because it's just elite level competition, elite level mindset. I love being able to just listen to those podcasts and see the patterns in their thinking, and just see what I can learn.
Burgers or pizza?
Ooh, it depends on my mood, but if I have to go on statistically what I normally get more often, burgers, 100%. There's a good place called Good George that has like this mean beef brisket burger. Fuck, it's good, like juicy beef. But also just a place that's super consistent all the time, wherever you go. Burger Fuel. The barbecue bacon roadstar, those crispy onion rings, man.
V8 vegan at Burger Fuel, love that. For me that's very mood dependent, because sometimes I'd be like pizza all the way, other times I'd be burger all the way. So Yeah, I can't. I'm sorry, I can't answer that.
What? You've got to. People want to know.
No, oh.
Statistically, what do you get
often,
more?
More often would be burger.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you get nervous being on camera?
I think still a little bit occasionally, but less so. I think it's one of those things that the more you're exposed to something that makes you feel uncomfortable, the more comfortable you feel. So it's just something that by doing it more often, you're desensitizing yourself to it.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I used to get nervous, but I've just had a lot of time on task. Like I've got a bachelor's in acting, so there was a lot of not only just speaking on camera, but speaking to a lot of people.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not that I get so nervous about it. If there's any friction, it would be I have a real high expectation of how I communicate, because once you say something and put it on the internet, it's there forever now.
Yeah.
You know, and people are so quick to take things out of context and say, oh, he said this, that means he believes that. It's like, no, you took it out of context and put it into another one, and my opinion might not necessarily fit that. So,
and also your opinion can change. That's what I think. I know that we'll probably look back at previous podcasts of things that we may have said or whatnot, and there might be times where I'm like, oh, I don't actually agree with that anymore, or I've changed my view on that certain thing. So I think, understanding that people's perception based on their experiences and what they're going through will change over time as well.
Yeah, you're 100% right, because like there's stuff in old videos that I've done for my own personal brand and personal training that I don't agree with anymore. And that was only like a year and a half ago, you know? So again, going back to the question, do I get nervous about being on camera? Not in the performance sense, but sometimes I do think, man, people are going to take this out of context. Like, I bet you, someone is listening right now. It's about my answer to, what was that one? Would you get with someone if you knew they had a partner? And someone's going to take that out of context. I just know it.
Yeah.
I just know it, you know?
Yeah.
But, what can you do, right?
Yeah.
People will hear what they want to hear.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Next question. I have a friend that is really negative and not accountable, but gets quite defensive when I try and bring it up. Any advice? I genuinely feel that is all you can do, is if you're trying to discuss a friend's actions or behaviours with them, is obviously preface it that you're coming from a place of love before you do try and touch on it, and that you do accept them as they are, but then attempt to obviously make them aware of, or maybe check if they're aware, be like, hey, you're aware that whenever this happens, this is how you react, or you always do this, blah, blah, blah. And then trying to make them aware, and just, again, being clear that it's like that you're trying to be objective and just say, this is how it makes me feel when you're doing this, this, and this. And if they don't take it on board, then and are quite defensive, then I guess you've just got to weigh up if that person is worth your time and energy. Like, is your energy that you're giving to that person being reciprocated? And if not, you might want to distance a bit from that person. And then again, if down the track they're like, hey, haven't seen you in a while, what's been happening? And that's when you could bring it up again about, well, hey, as I told you before, this, and this. And maybe then they'd get the message. I don't know.
Yeah.
How would you handle that?
I'm a bit optimistic on this. I don't think anyone wakes up and says, I'm going to be negative today. You know, so I think it's fair, might be fair to say that they don't know that they're negative, so they're unaware about it.
Yeah.
So if you're the friend and you're telling them that they're negative, what you're doing is you're blaming them. You're saying you're negative. I don't like it when you do this. Do you know that you do this? And of course people are going to get defensive. Whenever you get blamed for something that you are unaware about, you're going to get defensive. That's just a natural thing. I don't know about that. Like, what are you talking about? Unless you have that awareness where you're willing to be open and hear someone's feedback. For the most part, it's an instinct to not do that because you want to be a part of the tribe.
Yeah.
Right? So, if you are the person who's got the issue with a friend and we're saying that they're not fully aware of them being negative, you need to take full accountability for it. Let's say you're the negative friend and I'm the one that needs to bring it up. I'm like, hey, Shenae, if you say to me, sorry, let's start again. If you're like, hey, Marwan, let's hang out, and I'm at my tip, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey Shenae, sorry, I don't have the capacity to spend time with you right now because lately I feel like I cannot be authentic to myself. You do, when we hang out, you say and do these certain things, example A, example B, and I just feel like I can't be myself around you. And I don't think it's fair that you hang out with me if I'm not going to be myself, you know? So now I'm taking full accountability for that. I'm taking full account. I'm not blaming you for anything. I'm just saying you coming as you are.
Yeah.
And this is how I'm responding. And I think it's just not fair for either of us that I'm going to be inauthentic in this space.
Yeah.
Now, if they're really your friend, they're going to ask, hey, how can we fix this?
Yeah.
Or they're going to run away. Or they're going to be like, okay, fine, that's your problem.
Yeah.
Then sweet. So now you know, now you've got those two outcomes. Fix it, or they run away. Either way, those are two positives. It's a hard conversation though.
Yeah.
And you've got to be able to have the communication skills to say that.
Yeah.
But if we're going to boil it right down, if you're going to blame someone for something they don't know about, it's a poor strategy. You're not going to win. Yeah, 8 times out of 10, you're not going to win.
Yeah, that's, like you said, if someone's completely unaware of their possible negative behaviours or whatnot, then telling them like, yeah, you're being negative, they'd be like, what? I'm not negative, and would, like you said, naturally be on the defensive. Unless, like you said, unless they're coming from us, because I find if someone said that to me, if someone was like, oh, Shenae, you're so negative or irrational, being relatively open, I think I would try and, instead of being on the defensive and being like, what do you mean? No, I'm not, da-da-da.
Exactly.
I would try and think, like, or at least in that context with that person, I'd be like, hey, have I been irrational or negative when I've been with this person?
Yeah.
And then kind of reflect and think, okay, yeah, maybe that one time I was irrational in this situation, da-da-da. But yeah, like you said, there's a lot of people probably aren't that open to stop and reflect on that, and are more likely to sort of, shut down and be on the defense.
Yeah, exactly. And I think just the foundation of I don't think anyone wakes up wanting to be negative.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So to call someone that is a big call.
Yeah.
It's a big call.
Yeah.
You're putting your opinion and your judgment of themselves, of them on them. You know?
Yeah.
It's a big call.
Yeah.
It's a big call.
Yeah.
Next up, most recent book you've read or currently reading? At the moment, I'm reading a book called Brain Rules, and it is a book just about optimizing your use of the brain. Two big things that I've really, really learned from it is, what do you call it? Oh, long-term memory. Long-term memory is actually things that are memories that you have not recalled. But let's say I am triggered by something and I remember something, I'm now bringing that into my consciousness. So it's actually still short-term memory. And then I'll consolidate it again when I sleep. But every time I bring it up, it goes back to my consciousness and it's become short-term. That's a really, really good one.
That's quite fascinating.
Yeah, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I only read that this morning and I was like, interesting.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, how important sleep is.
Yeah.
Sleep is the best thing for your memory and brain function.
Yeah. So does it cover that, like tips on how to be optimizing your thinking and your all that kind of thing? Yeah, 8 hours sleep is the best way to optimize your thinking. Yeah. And if you want to learn something, always bring it up into your consciousness and consolidate it and bring it up into your consciousness again. That sounds really airy-fairy. The most practical way to always remember something, aka build a new habit, is read the information, write it down or highlight it, go to sleep, read it first thing in the morning, and then say it to someone else, explain it to someone, because now you're building those strong neural pathways and different types of processes to actually, keep that data. Yeah, that's what I found I would always do during uni. I always found writing stuff out and then go to bed, reread it in the morning, and then always try and go through it with someone and be like, hey, let's talk about this. And it was just more my way of reiterating and saying it. And then once I could explain it to a friend, I was like, yep, sweet, I'm ready for this exam.
The other thing in the book is your brain is always at war. So there's two states that it's fighting at: awake state and sleeping state. So as soon as you wake up, your awake state is fighting the sleeping state. Got to get out, you know, you warm into it, right? You don't wake up at a jolt when you're at 100%. You warm into it because it's like a seesaw, it's a tipping point. And then it is actually natural for your brain to be at a standstill, those two states at a standstill, at like midday, or just after midday. So the people, like the cultures that do siestas, you know, they actually got it right.
Yeah.
That's why they have a siesta, because they know that. That's like, it's ancient wisdom. That you go off, have a 20-minute sleep, go for a kip, so let the sleep state take over for 20 minutes, and then you come back and you're on fire again. It's actually good to nap. It's good to nap. But only for 20 minutes.
I guess, or alternatively, would be doing some sort of movement at midday. Like people that do a lunchtime workout or whatever. That would be another way of, I would assume, is pushing that wake state.
They actually said that exercising resets your brain function and mood and energy.
Cool. Okay, my most recent book, which I've had for ages and I've had plenty of recommendations to read it, Lost Connections by Johan Hari. You may have heard of him because he's done a couple of very well-known TED Talks. If you haven't, check them out. Basically, the book is all about why you're depressed and how to find hope. So he talks about usually the most common causes of depression. He was someone that when he was diagnosed with depression, it was, there's a chemical imbalance in your brain, you've got low serotonin, hence you need antidepressants, that's going to help rebalance the chemicals in your brain, blah, blah, blah. And I think it was over like a decade that he was taking antidepressants, then would have another, his depression would get worse again, so then his dose just kept increasing to the point that he was, I think, more than he should be on, and realising that he still wasn't feeling great. And that's when he started doing a little bit more of his own research and wanting to find out other reasons why this could be happening. So he boiled them down to 7 main causes: disconnection from meaningful work, disconnection from other people, disconnection from meaningful values, disconnection from childhood trauma, disconnection from status and respect, from the natural world, from a hopeful or secure future, and then also touched on some sort of genetic predisposition and brain changes, which, like you said, is still very minute. Just really quite interesting, and then obviously goes through the second half of the book then is about like reconnecting, how to then work on those things. So quite an interesting read for anyone that may be having some dark days. I definitely found it a good read.
Interesting. So people are depressed, either if it's not a chemical imbalance due to a medical thing, it's because of...
Small lifestyle.
Yeah, lifestyle.
Like a lot of things, that our genetics and changes in the brain are very small, and that it's usually, a combination of a lot of other things. So
that's interesting. Because another thing in the Brain Rules book is like, they say that we're only 2%. We can actually use a capacity of 2% of our brain, which means that's very small, right? So that means I like to think I'm quite intelligent, but if we're only at 2%, that means I'm probably using like 0.00001. And if things like that make us depressed, then we're not doing what we're meant to be doing in terms of what we enjoy or anything like that. And we continue to do things that we don't like that make us feel sad because of, I guess, security. We're just very far from working at our capacity.
Or probably even for a lot of people, I think, unawareness. Like, I think there was definitely a few things that he touched on that I hadn't thought about, and then realised, that's like even one of them, disconnection from a hopeful or secure future. So no matter, for most people, if your mental health has already been average, going through something like COVID, where there is no secure future, or like you just don't know what's happening. So for a lot of people, that's why something like that would have, if they were already on edge, would have potentially tipped them off the edge. Other things like meaningful work, meaningful values, things like that. I think a lot of people might not be understand how impacting that is as well on our mental health. So very good read. Like I said, even just check out his TED Talks. There's one TED Talk that does cover this, and then he's got another one on addiction, so both quite interesting.
Yeah, righto. Next one.
What did you guys do for work before being a PT and a physio?
Well, while I was studying at personal training, I was working at Event Cinemas at St. Luke's. I was at the cinemas. That was, because I had just finished my degree and then I did another further 6 months of study. I needed something to fill that time because study link wasn't going to be enough. I worked at the movies. It was mean. It was all good.
Did you work or did you just watch movies and eat popcorn?
Bit of both. It was a bit of both. I literally throughout that about the 6 months that I was there, I watched every single movie. Most times I've seen them more than once. The reason because I got free movies. I'd have one $5 friend, and then the rest of them would be $2, whoever I bought, and then 50% off food. That's such a deal. That is such a deal.
Why aren't you still there now?
Look, as much as I enjoyed it, all the perks, my cup wasn't full from it. It wasn't meaningful work to me. I knew that I was made for something more other than that. Not more, but other than that. What about you? What'd you do?
When I finished school, before I went off, I had about 3-4 months before I went to uni, so I worked at Big W, which is kind of like a Kmart. You guys don't have that here in New Zealand. I'm doing night fill. So that was, just a little summer job to get some money and again, definitely made me realise, I want to be doing physio, not sort of just...
it
was a job that just wasn't very stimulating. And I think as well, I remember working with the people that I was working with, they were all whinging about how much they'd hate it and just were like, this sucks, da-da-da. And then I was like, how long have you been doing it? And they're like, this would be like my 10th year. And I was like, what?
At Nightfall?
Yeah.
Sorry, what's it called? Big W?
Big W, yeah. Kind of like came up. And that's when I just remember thinking, I never want to be there. I never want to be hating a job, but just stuck in it. And that was all of them, is that they were all just like, didn't want to be there, hated it, but were just like, I guess they couldn't see a way out. Whereas even though I didn't love it, I was kind of like, cool, I'm here for 3 months and then I'm out of here. And then during uni, that's when I got into group fit teaching and bartending. Bartending and group fit. So that's kind of what got me through uni. And I think bartending and pospo work is always, good people skills. And
100%.
I think bartending, or actually probably more waitressing, I think was what would have prepared me best for my practical exams. Like that pressure you're under, from when you start service to when you finish is just like non-stop of customers whinging and then chefs abusing you and just like go. So I think that was good prep for my prac exams at uni.
Sure. Sweet. What's the difference between Rise and the High Frequency Club? So I guess there's a question for me. Rise is the parent company, is a company that produces content, soon to be events, and services in health, fitness, and self-development. The High Frequency Club falls under that brand as the podcast, which is what you guys are all hearing now. And there's heaps of people coming. I guess that's the joys of trying to do a podcast in a cafe. So the High Frequency Club just falls under Rise. And Rise has services and one-on-one personal training as well as group workshops. Soon we're going to be starting doing events. This is the High Frequency Club just helps produce content under that brand. Just an extension of it. Exactly.
Cool.
Does that make sense? Cool.
Favourite place to holiday? I think prior to these children better pipe down. Jokes. We don't have many questions to go, team. Favourite place to holiday? Pre-COVID, definitely.
No, come through. You're all right.
Pre-COVID, definitely would have been Bali for me. The old 3-hour flight from Perth to Bali was quite the treat. Since then, I guess New Zealand.
For me, it's not surprisingly. I've only been to the Philippines or to New Zealand, so my holiday stints are what do you call it? Not that broad.
Yeah.
But for me, it's Queenstown. I
Yeah.
fucking love down south. Queenstown's amazing. Queenstown is amazing. It's okay. It's small. You can do it in like 2 days. But like, I don't know. There's just an energy about it, you know.
Yeah, it doesn't just feel like you're somewhere else.
The monstrosity of the mountains when it's capped with ice. It's just beautiful. It's just so picturesque. Like, it's 360 everywhere you look. It's picturesque. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Queenstown, and also my hometown of Taupo. It's mean there. That's
Yeah.
also picturesque. I call it Queenstown number 2, and it wasn't something that I really appreciated until I moved away. But like, naturally, right? Like as a kid, you just want to go explore, and yeah. Once I went onto the other side of the spectrum, which was Auckland, big concrete jungle, I craved the nature, and I'm lucky that my parents are still there.
Yeah. Nice.
What Les Mills classes would you recommend for a beginner at the gym? This is a good question.
It is. First of all, I would, again, in order to have that enjoyment, I think it depends on what someone's into. Like, I wouldn't recommend someone go and do body jam if they hate dancing. You know, if you're more into yoga, then maybe try body balance. But in saying that, I think for a strength type program, definitely pump. Core, another really good one. And then maybe a cycle class with some cardio. That'd be my go-tos.
Yeah, so let's I'm just going to take it for, you know, face value, which is if you're a complete beginner, I would assume that you've never been to the gym before. You've never really worked on maybe your body awareness and what your body can and cannot do in the space. I would definitely start off with core. Core's a really good one, just to get that engaged and get that connection, because it's super, super important that that's strong. I'd pick a cycle class because it's low impact in a way because you can't fuck up the form.
Yeah.
You know. What's another one? A low intensity or relaxation active rest class like stretch, Les Mills Stretch by Kelly Mack, or body balance or yoga. What I would not stay away from but ease into is like the high impact, like the grits, especially if it's your first time, because your body is moving in so many ways, and if you don't know how to move your body, you can easily really hurt yourself. You know, there's a lot of jumping and a lot of just...
Yeah, I would always recommend pump before getting into grit, like doing pump for a bit to get really familiar and confident with the movement patterns, so that when you are doing grit where it is faster and high reps, that you are... You know,
my thing with pump though as well is like you're making them do squats and like deadlifts when they've never done that before, and those are pretty complex movements.
yeah, but that's why it's lightweights, so that even if you don't have the perfect form, you're very unlikely to injure or hurt yourself, because we're not asking you to squat with like 100 kilos.
Yeah, true.
Like that's why we tell people super lighten your weights, because there are a lot of reps. If anything, body weight. You know, there's always a body weight option, and at least it's slower, so you do get a feel from it. If you have a good instructor, they're going to be coaching you through how you should be squatting and what you should be feeling, blah blah blah.
I think if you're a complete beginner to the gym, I think it would be very beneficial even if you hired a personal trainer for that one-on-one individualization, even if it's just for like 4 or 5 sessions, you know, just to get the foundations right.
Yeah.
Just for you to connect your mind to your body. It's very important.
Yeah.
It's very important.
Yeah. Next fave guest that we've had on the podcast.
Oh, you want to answer that one?
Oh, we've had so many, but I would have to say Ben Tomaro. I feel he's just sort of a wealth of knowledge in the field of sort of mental health. So yeah, I found that his episodes have been very insightful and impactful.
Yeah.
You?
I don't have like necessarily like a number one top guest. I've enjoyed all of them because they've been so spread out in terms of their knowledge and their the value that they add. I don't have a number one, to be honest. I don't have a number one because most of them are people that I already know too. So I was able to ask them in a podcast sense just asking questions I wouldn't normally ask
Yeah.
or talk about with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I've loved always hearing people's stories, like, really getting to know people, and especially I think because I've just known a lot of people through the gym, but I've never really known like their story from the get-go of how they got into the gym and fitness and their self-development story, all that kind of thing. So I've thoroughly enjoyed hearing that about all our guests, and then they've always had tips and tricks on what they've learned over the years as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last question. How do I fix my posture? You're the physio, so I'll let you take the encore question. How do you fix my posture?
I kind of hate these questions because you can't fix your posture because your posture is not broken. Your best posture is your next posture. So you should always be focused on just keeping moving throughout the day. Because even if you had perfect posture and you sat upright and your shoulders back and and you had good ergonomics and the perfect monitor height and desk height and chair height, if you still sat still for 8 hours, I'm sure you'd still be pretty darn sore by the end of the day. So instead of worrying about that, you're better off just maybe putting a timer on your phone or your Apple Watch to remind you to get up and get moving every half hour to an hour. Just little things like rolling your shoulders, reaching up, rotations, all that kind of stuff. That is way more worth your time than worrying about what your perfect posture is.
So I agree. The best posture is a moving posture, a one that is always able.
Your body's made to move and it likes to move. So really, we shouldn't be worried about what a good static posture is. Yes, posture, there's some benefit for that when we are under load. So if you are about to squat or deadlift heavy, you probably do want good posture, good technique there. But day to day, you just need to be moving.
So would you say if someone's got fully rounded posture, office posture, and they come to you and they're like, I need my posture fixed, what would you say then?
I would just say move. I've had patients like that, and they come expecting that I'm going to give them all these like special exercises to fix their posture, but I'm like, those exercises they're probably not going to do every day. And even if you went to the gym first thing in the morning for half an hour and did heaps of like posterior chain extension-based exercises to counter your rounded shoulders, if you then go to work and then sit down like that for the next 8 hours, hunched forward, it doesn't matter that you've just done an hour first thing in the morning of extension-based exercises. Wasted your time.
So if someone is completely upright, shoulders back, chin always up for 8 hours even, which is these days anyway, people are saying is best posture. Are you saying that's bad as well?
Not that it's bad, but just, again, that it's still, people can get just as many issues from being too rigid and upright all day, every day. So, again, it's just movement. Let yourself slump for a bit and sit upright. It's more that movement between both positions that's going to be more ideal.
Gotcha.
Because movement is what is going to allow for that fresh fluid coming through to your joints, so preventing you from getting stiff and sore.
Awesome.
So move.
Great.
Physio rant over.
Sweet, so that's pretty much all the questions?
Yeah, that is, yeah.
All right, cool.
Awesome. Check us out, as always, at the High Frequency Club, Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts.
Awesome. Have a good day, guys. See you later.
That's a vibe. She wanna vibe. That's a vibe.